Can't go wrong with doo-wop. can't go wrong with doo-wop. One summer night, we fell in love. One summer night. How y'all doing this morning? Good to see everybody. This Tuesday morning, boy, I tell you what, it is getting chilly out there. Man, I came out with short sleeves on yesterday morning, turned right back around, went in the house, and grabbed me a jacket. So we know fall is coming, or it's pretty much already here. But you know, it's hard to tell because I think you remember last year, or the year before last, maybe in last year, it stayed hot all the way up to probably about February. So who can tell about this Alabama weather? You know, this Alabama weather is tripolar. It's one way one day, one way another day, and another way another day. But anyway, we're thankful for it, thankful to be living so we can even enjoy this weather. I want to talk to you a little bit about where you are right now and where you want to be and how to get there. And one thing that I tell you, if I hadn't learned anything else in life, one thing I have learned in life is that many times where I want to be in life, I do not like what it takes to get there. Man, I have learned that. And as I've looked back over my life, it has never failed that before good times came, bad times were present. It has never failed before success came, failure was present. Or before happiness came, sadness was present. It has never, ever failed. It's like the natural cycle of the world when it comes to nature. A rainbow never ever comes until after a storm or rain or a cloudy evening or something like that. But that rainbow is always the bright result of darkness, or the bright result of something bad or something tragic. I remember when the hurricane, that tornado came through Alabama back in, I think it was 2007, that was so bad. I saw the brightest rainbow I have ever seen in my life. I don't know what was so different about this one than the other ones, but it was a lot brighter than any rainbow I had ever seen my whole life. And it came right after that bad tornado came down through Tuscaloosa and through Birmingham and several other places. The next day, I mean, the sky was immaculate. I had never seen it like that before. I don't know if it had anything to do with that hurricane, you know, that tornado, what. But life, it's the same way. Many of us, and maybe some of you, you're right here, right now. Okay? Let me get my paper. You know, I like to use my illustrations when I'm talking. So I get my paper and my marker, illustrate this. Many, and I'm going to write you and I. And so this is you and I over here, and this is where we want to be. So this is where you and I, this is where we currently are. This is where we want to be. But there may be a mistaken notion that the way to get from here to here is cross here. Even if the pathway is a little rocky or something like that, there's a mistaken notion that to get to here, we just go straight across. And I'm telling you, life does not work like that many times. Okay? Grand Canyon is a good example of that, or, you know, two tall peaks where a river is at the bottom. You know, sometimes you get from here to here, there is a long cliff that goes down and come back up. Sometimes there may be, you know, there may be rocks down here. There may be water down here. There's no telling what's down there. But in order to get from over here to over here, unless you can fly, you're going to have to go down. And not only must you go down, you're going to have to get over the rocks. You're going to have to try to get across a river some kind of way. There's no telling what you may incur trying to get across these rocks and trying to get across this river. You may incur damage to yourself, damage to a boat. You may incur animals in the water that try to attack you. And then once you get across, you still got to try to find a way to get back up that hill, that tall mountain, to get where you want to be. Man, by the time you get from here to over here, you're going to be like, what in the world did I just go through? But that's life sometimes. And the mind state may be within us. The mind state may be we like the reward, but we don't like the process that it takes to get to the reward. And you know, those of you who listen to me, you know one of my favorite Bible stories is the story of Joseph. I use that so much. And here's a story that I used to talk to the Austin High football team last week. It's a story that I'm going to use to talk to some young men coming up in November. But Joseph's life, if you take Joseph's life and you have a beginning point, if you take Joseph's life and you have a beginning point, point A, and you have an end point of Joseph's life, point Z, and we know what that consists of. Joseph is a child, okay? That's point A. Point Z, Joseph is at his height in life. He is over all Egypt. And we look at that and we say, man, this guy went from a child to a ruler of a nation. He started from the bottom, now he here. I couldn't resist. I ain't never heard that song, but I hear so many people say that. He started from the bottom, now he's here. That's how we look at Joseph's life. Joseph started off right here and he ended up right here. But if we could rewind the tape and we say, Joseph, do you see yourself ruling a nation in 20 or 30 years? He probably would say no. If we asked him, if we told him, but you are going to do that. I'm telling you, you will do that. Now, how do you think you're going to get there? Joseph probably would have said, I don't know, maybe my daddy becomes king or emperor, then he appoints me as king or emperor, or maybe my daddy, passes away and leaves me a inheritance in some nation. I guarantee you everything that Joseph would have thought would have been positive, because as humans, we do not predict bad things to happen to us so good things can come. Who does that? Do you think we want to predict bad things happening to us in our lives so that good things can come to us in our lives? No, you got to be crazy to do that. There's no way Joseph would have predicted all the bad things. There's no way Joseph would have said, well, I know how I'm going to get there. My brothers are going to turn on me. My brothers are going to try to kill me. My brothers are going to throw me in a deep, dark pit. My brothers are going to sell me into slavery. I'm going to end up in Egypt, and I'm going to be lied on by some woman who said I raped her and ended up in prison for 2 years. I'm going to come out of prison, and then I'm going to rise to prominence. Do you think Joseph would have predicted all of that in his life? No. No way. Yet, it took all of that for him to get to here. See, we only really want to see this part of our life. And this is where Joseph was. Joseph was right there with you and I. And on the other side, we have Joseph's success story. Okay? So here's where you and I are. Here's where Joseph started. Here's where you and I want to be. Here's where Joseph ended up. This is Joseph's success story. And what do we have right here? I'm trying to get it right. What do we have right here? Well, the first thing we have is the fall. And if we had to go down and just start marking this up, we can put out beside here, family turned on him. Okay? Family. And I'm just going to put family turned. We can put dark pit. Okay? We can put slavery. And then, actually, when he got out of slavery, he started rising back up. And so he had kind of like a double fall. So we're going to put another little small rise right here. And we're going to put over Potiphar's house. And then he fell again. Prison. Notice this right here. I know it's kind of hard to see. Okay. But notice. This is Joseph's life. He started from here. He ended up here. But how did he get there? Number one, he failed. His family turned on him. Okay? His brothers hated him. Number two, he fell again. He went into a dark pit. He fell into slavery. And then when he got out of slavery, he started rising again. And he was over Potiphar's house. And on his rise, he thought everything was going okay. His life was turning around, and boom, he fell again. Ended up in prison for 2 years. And I mean, that was a big fall. Took 2 years of his life. And after he came out of prison, boom, he rose again to prominence. Joseph had so many falls, yet he still was able to reach his success in life. He still had a success story even after all of those falls in his life. And you know why? Because he didn't give up. Because he didn't look at the first failure as the end of his life, as we do sometimes. Man, when we have our first failure, or when we become discouraged for the first time, or heartbroken for the first time, or we don't get that job, or we don't get that degree in college, or we don't make it through college in the time that we want it, man, we think our life is over. It's over. Yet, how many times could Joseph have said that his life was over? But he didn't. We've got to get to the point to where we understand that every fall in life is most likely related to you being successful. We've got to get to the point to where we realize that in order for us to make it from here to here, we've got to go off a cliff. We've got to go in a valley sometimes. The valley is going to be dark. The valley is going to be miserable. The valley is going to be dangerous. Sometimes we're going to rise up out of the valley for a little while and fall right back in it. But that does not mean that what you are planning for your life is not meant to be. You know, I don't even believe that phrase that, you know, we use sometimes. Well, it just wasn't meant to be. I don't believe that, y'all. I don't know who made that up, but I don't believe that. There's no such thing as nothing meant to be. Because to say something was meant to be is to say that God has already determined the outcome of our lives. And God doesn't do that. God knows the outcome of our lives, but he doesn't determine the outcome of our lives. We do that. And if something is not meant to be, it's because we don't pursue it. It's because we don't pursue it. It has nothing to do with restrictions being placed upon us. At least restrictions by God. Any restrictions that we place upon ourselves, any restrictions that are in our lives are placed upon us by us. So, as we go from point A to point Z, realize that you're going to have to go through some dark, miserable times in order to get to the other side. But as you go on that journey, I want to offer you some things to think about on your journey. I got some things listed right here that I want you to talk about real quickly. The first thing, in order to get from here to here, you got to have some type of vision for your life, some type of dream, some type of goal. We've talked in the past about goals and how important goals are. In order to get to the other side and see your and have a success story, to be able to look back and tell people how you made it, you've got to have a dream or dreams or a goal, vision for your life. It reminds me of a verse in Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 18. This verse here has nothing to do with goals and dreams and nothing like that. But there's a principle here that I want to talk about. Proverbs chapter 29 verse number 18. Notice what it says. Where there is no revelation, King James Version says vision. Where there is no vision or revelation, the people cast off restraints. But happy is he who keeps the law. What this verse was saying was, when the children of Israel, if the children of Israel did not have any vision, any kind of revelation, any kind of direction from God, they were cast off into restraints in their life that kept them focused, that kept them in line. And it's the same thing in our lives. A goal for the future puts restraints on what you do in your life. Okay? When you have a goal or a dream set for the future, then you put restraints on your own self to reach that goal. Let me give you an example. If your goal is if you're in college at this moment and you're getting a college degree and your goal is to get your degree in 4 years and you got a final coming up next week, if you are serious about your goal and serious about your dream and you know you have a final coming up next week, the limitations that you're going to put on yourself is how much you go out, how late you stay out, what things you do and what things you don't do, because you're going to give more of your time and attention to passing that final. Why? Because you got a vision for your future. You got a goal for your future. You got something to guide your direction in life, and that direction is the goal that you set for yourself. So because you have a goal and because you have a dream, you put limitations on your life as to what you will and will not do. Dreams are important. You must begin with a dream. I'm not sure what dream Joseph was shooting for, but I know what dream he had. And the dream that he had said that he would be above everybody else. And his life started with a dream. Okay? Number 2. Okay? Hey, Alan, if you still watching, don't go tell your young men about this lesson here, because this is going to be a lesson for them. So don't go talk about my lesson, because if you do, I'm going to have to come up with a whole different lesson to talk to them about. Number 2. Trust in God, not your circumstances. Trust in God, not your circumstances. Too many times we get ourselves in a situation and the circumstance is so bad, the situation is so bad, that we lose all hope for the future. We lose all hope. We say, I'll never reach my goal. I'll never reach my dream because of my circumstance, because of my situation. And what we're doing when we say that is we are putting more trust in our situation than we are putting in the God who can bring us out of the situation, in the God who can see us through the situation, in the God who can bring all things together for the good to those who love him and who are called according to his purpose or for his to his will. Okay? We must put more trust in God and less trust and emphasis on our circumstances. In Proverbs chapter 3, verse number 5 and verse number 6, Solomon says this right here. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all your ways and he will direct your paths. You got to believe that. You got to believe that God would do that, and you got to trust him enough to do that. Have integrity as you move forward. Integrity will get you a long way. Integrity in how you deal with people, how you deal with yourself, and how you approach your goals and dreams in life. Proverbs chapter 11 and verse number 3 talks about integrity. And notice what it says about integrity, how important it is. It says, the integrity of the upright will guide them, but the perverseness of the unfaithful will destroy them. Integrity is going to be a very vital characteristic in your life when you're trying to achieve your goal, because there are going to be a lot of people who try to get you to reach your goals and dreams in life in a dishonest way. Don't do it. Don't ever give in to reaching your goals and dreams in life in a dishonest way. Do it the right way and you'll be blessed. Okay. Number 4, be God dependent. Okay. It's okay to be independent as a human being, as an individual, but you still, as an individual, as an independent individual, need to be God dependent at the same time. Okay. Joseph always knew that his gifts of interpreting dreams came from God, and he never ever at one time gave himself credit for his abilities. And as we move forward, no matter what amount of education you get, no matter what kind of job you get, no matter what your abilities and what your talents may be, we must give credit to God for those things and never ever get to the point that what we believe is all because of us that we're so successful. Okay, we've got to be God dependent. Psalm chapter 37, verse number 4 and verse number 5 says this right here. Delight yourself also in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires. Hold on, start at verse 4. Yeah, he shall give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord and trust in him, and he shall bring it to pass. See, when we give God credit for our lives and the things that we do, and we acknowledge him, he will bless the outcome of what we're trying to do. But if we take credit for those things and make it seem like it's because of us, then it may seem like we're being successful, but in the end we will crash. Manage your success. When God honors you with success and prosperity, never forget to honor him. Okay? If God blesses you with $1 million tomorrow some kind of way, and I don't know if God blesses people like that or not, but if he does, if he happened to do, let's just say that was one example of God blessing someone with $1 million tomorrow. If God blesses you with $1 million tomorrow, do not forget that he blessed you, and do not forget to use that money to glorify his name. Okay? Because that same money can be a hindrance to our life, and that same money can put us right back in the valley that we just came out of. In Malachi chapter 3, the children of Israel had forgot about God. They had started giving God their second best, and they started keeping the good things for themselves. And God told them in Malachi chapter 3 and verse number, I'm going to start at verse number 8. Notice what he said to them. Will a man rob God? Yet you have robbed me. But you say, in what way have we robbed you, Lord? He said, in tithes and offerings. You are cursed with a curse, for you have robbed me, even this whole nation. And notice what he tells them. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house, and try me now in this, and see if not, I will open for you the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing on you that you will not have room to receive it. Now, I'm not just talking about monetary stuff, okay? Because it's not about money when it comes to God. But the principle in Malachi is that when God blesses our life with success, we use our success for his glory. That could be money, that could be time, that could be talent, that could be our job. Whatever it is, God expects us to manage our success in such a way to where we use it to glorify his name. Joseph did that. In Joseph's life, every time God blessed him, he used the blessings that God gave him to glorify God. And that's what we always have to do when we're trying to move forward. Manage success properly. Have humility. Having humility is very important. Proverbs chapter 11, verse number 3 says this right here about humility. The integrity, hold up. That's not right. Proverbs chapter 11 and verse number 3. That's not right. We'll just do another verse then. James chapter 4 talks about humility and how important humility is. In James chapter 4 and verse number 7, he says, submit yourselves therefore to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners. Purify your hearts, you double-minded. Lament and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned into mournings and your joy to gloom. Humble yourselves in the sight of God. And notice, he will lift you up. Going from here in life, the bad side, or the side that we don't want to be on, to this side of life, the side that we do want to be on, and going down that cliff and going through these valleys and through these trying times, means that we've got to be humble as we go through. Because as we are humble, God raises us up high to be able to face all the things that we go through. Okay? Fully forgive. Now, there are a lot of verses talking about forgiveness. We could have looked at all of them. I'm not. Matthew chapter 15 is an important one. And Matthew chapter 15 is a story, part of that beginning at verse number 21. It's a story of a king who forgave a man, and that same man who was forgiven went and found another man that he wouldn't forgive, and because he wouldn't forgive, the king found out about it and took that man that was forgiven and threw him in prison and said, I forgave you, why you didn't forgive him? You don't want to live your life not forgiving people. You don't want to live your life not being able to get over something that someone has done to you. Okay? You got to live a life of forgiveness, because it's that forgiveness that's going to provide constant healing for you to move forward. But it's also unforgiveness that will imprison you mentally. It will imprison you emotionally to where you won't even have the strength to move forward to reach your goals if you don't get over it. Joseph was successful because he was able to forgive. When his brothers came back to him, man, they fell down on their faces and they said, don't hurt us. And Joseph said, get up. I'm not going to hurt you. God had this all the time. This was God. This had nothing to do with you and me. This was a part of God's plan. You meant it for evil, but God meant it for my good. So when people are trying to hurt you, people are trying to cast you off, people are trying to write you off, people are trying to destroy your life. No, they're not. People are not trying to destroy your life. People are trying to make way for God to bless you. People are not trying to stab you in the back. People are trying to make way for God to bless you. People are not trying to take something from you to hurt you. They're trying to make way for God to bless you. Now, they don't know that they're doing that, but you should know it, because Joseph's life is a good example. You meant it for my bad, but God meant it for my good. And then lastly, pursue true prosperity. It's okay to pursue prosperity. It's okay to pursue success. It's okay to pursue better things in life. But ultimately, the ultimate goal that we all should be pursuing is the goal that will last for us throughout eternity, and that's the goal of going to heaven. Okay? Matthew 16, verse 26, Jesus said, what good is it to gain the world and lose a soul? Okay? What good is it to go from here to here and then we still end up losing our soul? What good is it to go from here down the valley and go through all the trials and go through all the tribulations, have all the ups and the downs, and then finally come up over here and look back and something happen and we lose our soul? We should pursue success in life. We should pursue all our goals, knowing that you're going to have to go through some dark places, some miserable places to get there. But I'm telling you something. It is not worth it if we can't look back and say, but you know what? After all I've been through, if something happens to me right now, it all would be worth it. And I know heaven would be my home. It all would be pointless if we can't look back and say that. So in conclusion, just remember, God wants us to achieve and to have better things in life. He wants us to be at a better place in life. God took Joseph from here, from down here, and put him up here. And from here to here, Joseph had ups, downs, ups, downs, ups, downs, ups, downs, until he finally made it to where he needed to be. And through all the ups and downs, God was with him. And every up and down that he had in his life was a part of God's big plan to put him where he wanted him. And the ups and downs that you're facing right now in your life are part of God's plan as well to put you where you need to be. And don't ever forget that. Some good doo-wop music right there. All right, y'all. I'm going to get out of here. Y'all have a great day. God bless you. We'll see y'all back here tomorrow morning, Lord willing, at 9 o'clock a.m. I was running a little late, but unless sickness and death or something like that happens, I'll be here. God bless you. Keep my family in your prayers as I keep your family in my prayers. And always remember, roll tide. Heart and soul. Sing it, boy.